Well, I've been warning you about this for quite some time, but now we have actual results and data. We are now hearing that October of 2025 was the worst month for layoffs in more than 20 years. That is extremely concerning because experts believe this is only the beginning. Things are going to get worse because of everything that's happening right now. Look at this. It says job cuts in October hit highest level for the month in 22 years, according to Challenger. I want to play a clip for you, and then we'll discuss this. Listen to this.
Announced corporate job cuts, Andrew, in the U.S. surging past 1 million so far this year, with 153,000 new layoffs announced just in October, according to Challenger. That is the worst October since 2003. Here are the numbers. October up 153. That compares with September. That's 100,000 more than September and 100,000 more than this time last year in October 2024. Andy Challenger commenting, some industries are correcting after the hiring boom of the pandemic, but this comes as AI adoption, softening consumer and corporate spending, and rising costs drive belt tightening and hiring freezes. Announced layoffs don't always lead to actual cuts and could take place from attrition, but the report puts in perspective what we've been reporting here day after day, week after week. Series of marquee announcements unveiled in recent weeks across U.S. industries, including UPS, Amazon, Target, among others, Paramount, Rivian, all these companies there. Government has been responsible year to date for 308,000. But look at that, tech 141. That could be where you see a lot of the AI, maybe some in warehousing, but a big chunk of that's going to be UPS, as well as potentially some hit from reduced flows of trade. Retail's up there, as is services at 64,000. You take out the Doge cuts, the number's a bit better at 800,000, but still well above last year. Challenger doesn't see much in the way of hiring, saying announced plans are 35% below last year, and they're skeptical about the number of new hires for the holiday season.
One of the things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to these numbers, we continue to see layoffs, but when a company wants to go and hire thousands of people, you don't see that hit the news. And I understand why. It's just not, well, for one, it's not extremely exciting, and it's not newsworthy. But then they go and lay off temporary employees or seasonal employees. We're going to see this come January. In January, we're going to see layoffs really increase. Some because it's seasonal hiring, but experts believe more so will be because we are seeing a lot of these companies adapt and they're going to change. They're going to start to use AI in order to improve their systems. That's what we're going to see. But what's happening right now is interesting because we are going to see a complete meltdown. And I'm saying this because something was just announced yesterday. We got an update for it today, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. But it kicks in tomorrow. And when this kicks in, this is actually going to disrupt the entire economy. Look at this. It says the United States is to cut 10% of flights on a shutdown and spare routes abroad. Now, what does this mean? Well, according to Sean Duffy, he's the transportation secretary. He said yesterday that in 40 major U.S. airports, they're going to reduce their flying capacity by 10%. That right there could alleviate some of the pain because of the shortage of air traffic controllers. But he says this is not going to resolve itself until the federal government is reopened. But what are those 40 airports? We didn't know that. We know that today. Look at this. It says the flights impacted by reductions are scheduled during 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. It says international flights are exempt from the cuts, according to ABC News. It says a final list of airports in the FAA order with details is still in the works and is expected to be issued today. The list of airports which will see flight reductions is in alphabetical order by airport code. So we got Anchorage International, Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International, Boston Logan International, Baltimore Washington International, Charlotte Douglas International, Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International, Dallas Love, Ronald Reagan, Denver International, DFW, Detroit Metropolitan, Newark Liberty, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood International, Honolulu International, Houston Hobby, Washington Dulles International, George Bush Houston, Indianapolis International, New York John F. Kennedy, Las Vegas Harry Reid, LAX, New York's LaGuardia. Got Orlando International, Chicago Midway, Memphis International, Miami International, Minneapolis St. Paul, Oakland International, Ontario International, Chicago O'Hare, Portland, Philadelphia, Phoenix Sky Harbor, San Diego International, Louisville International, SeaTac. You got San Francisco International, Salt Lake City International, Teterboro, and Tampa International. Now, why am I showing you this? Why am I explaining this? Because how does this have anything to do with layoffs? Well, I have a friend that he sells, his company sells like pastries and stuff. And they do that for the Dallas-Fort Worth airport and others as well, but that's the main one. Now, when I was talking to him the other day, he said that he's already had to cut back hours, but if DFW is one of these airports that is going to see a reduction of 10%, then he is likely going to have to lay off some employees. He just sells pastries, okay? And I don't want to say he just sells pastries because nothing against business, but they sell pastries. This isn't a cleaning crew. This isn't, they don't do, do Uber and taxis and do transportation, to the airport, to the rental counters. And then what about the rental agents or the rental companies? What about the hotels and the tourist locations? What about all these other places? Okay, he sells pastries. That's what he sells. It's his whole business. But what about all the other companies? What about all the other businesses? He's going to be impacted because there's going to be less travelers. What about all the other ones? What about the car rental company? What about the Airbnbs and the short-term rentals and the hotel business? We're going to see layoffs. Okay? We are going to see layoffs. I want to show you something though. Okay? It says shutdown negotiations are ongoing as the Trump administration threatens to reduce air traffic. The Trump administration is threatening to reduce air traffic. That right there could put a little more pressure on both parties to get the federal government reopened. It could, but according to reports, it likely will not. That's the problem. We are still going to be negotiating this government shutdown. Now, here's where things are really going to get worse, but we may not see this for some time. Look at this right here. It says, the Trump administration hints furloughed workers may not be paid after shutdown. It says, agencies are sending messages indicating that workers who are on the job will be paid when the government reopens, with no mention of those on furlough, despite a 2019 law that protects their wages. According to reports, the Trump administration is having a difficult time giving back pay for people that are sitting at home, potentially working other jobs in order to make ends meet. But yet, the people that are deemed essential and have to go into work, they are going to receive the same pay that those that are sitting at home are going to get. And the federal government is saying that, how is this fair? That the people that are at work are making the same amount of money as the people that are at home. Now, if we see hundreds of thousands of furloughed workers not get back pay, this means their bills go unpaid. This means their car payment, unpaid, potentially repossessed. Their house payment, again, unpaid, potentially in foreclosure. Their credit cards, not getting paid, getting shut down so they can't go and spend. This is where we're at. This is a huge, huge problem. But again, I'm just trying to explain to you that the month of October was the worst month in 22 years as far as job cuts. Okay, the worst October. Usually in October, we are seeing an increase of workers because they're getting ready for the holiday shopping season. This year, maybe something completely different. So, as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get it. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.